Theme song. I got a theme song. It's my theme song. Yeah.
Chapter 1. And you'd like me to steal one for you? Once upon a time, in the magical, ancient world of modern-day Chicagoland. The magical, ancient, modern world. Or ancient world of modern day. Wait, what? In the magical, ancient world of modern-day Chicagoland. Let's just sit on that for a moment. There stood a magnificent castle in the kingdom of Morang. The sun shone brightly, the birds chirped, and the kingdom's subjects happily went about their normal, everyday lives. From a distance, the traditional gray stone castle stood stoic and looked much like it had gone completely unchanged for centuries, complete with battlements rising from the roofline and bits of sky peeking through the crenels. Inside the castle walls, however, it was a very different story. At first glance, again? No, first time it was from a distance, now it's at first glance. At first glance, one might be too distracted by the customary tapestries, expensive hand-woven carpets, and elegant furnishings to notice modern subtleties, but they were certainly there. A closer look would reveal phone chargers snaking out from behind the heavy mahogany appointments, top-of-the-line computers hidden away in Gothic armoires, and flat-panel televisions hung like art. Because I guess we can advance, like, modern entertainment, but we're gonna live in, like, stone and drafty hallways, because that's logic. It's too early for that. I'm gonna take a drink and we're gonna keep reading. I'm gonna stop interrupting. Though expensive, it was a fairly quiet place with only minimal staff and plenty of intimate spaces to maintain a good deal of privacy, which was often needed. Even with sufficient privacy, those closest to the crown couldn't help but notice the almost palpable tension. King Leonidas, a man of great power but questionable intelligence, was growing frustrated. Nearly 40 years old, he wanted desperately for an heir to his throne. He was unreasonably vain about his stature and appearance, both average at best, and thought it only fitting to pass on his self-proclaimed rugged good looks and exceptional aptitude for ruling a kingdom. His wife, Queen Annabeth, was equally anxious for a child of her very own. Many years earlier, it was foretold she would bear a son, and she agonized waiting for her prince to come. So, at the king's insistence, they prayed each and every night to the mighty stork god, begging him for a child, but to no avail. After many moons had passed, with no success, the king eventually called a meeting of his royal advisor, Geoffrey. But it's like Geoffrey spelled Geoffrey, because, it's like medieval and shit. Geoffrey was tall and slender, with sharp features. His dark hair always strategically mussed. I don't know English. Quirky, highly intelligent, quick-witted, and quite handsome. He's quirky. We're just gonna list that. Okay. If he had any noticeable downfall, it would undoubtedly have been the speed at which he moved. "Geoffrey!" King Leonidas called out. Never a quick man, Geoffrey meandered over. "Yes, your highness?" "Geoffrey, my good chap, your services are required." "How can I help, my liege?" Geoffrey dreaded the answer, as it often led to something unpleasant. The king hesitated. "I need to discuss a rather private matter with you. Follow me to my chambers." Geoffrey hung his head. "Shall I fetch the penicillin again, sir?" No, not this time." The two men agreed to retire to the king's chambers where they could speak alone. The king sat fidgeting as Geoffrey dragged himself slowly down the hallway and emerged through the chamber door to join him several moments later. Geoffrey struggled to catch his breath. "What might I do for you?" "The queen and we desire a child, an heir to our royal throne." "And you'd like me to steal one for you?" "No, no, not that again," the king sighed. "We've talked about this." "Apologies, my liege." "'Tis the parents of the children you should be apologizing to, but never mind that." "I was only trying to help, sire." The king scowled, ignoring the man's attempt at an explanation, and continued on with his own agenda. Jesus. Oh, that hurt me. That hurt me to read. "My wife and I want desperately for a child, and we pray nightly to the mighty stork god, yet we remain childless." We've gone over this 3 or 4 times now, that they really want a kid. We don't need to mention it twice. Once is a fact, twice is important, 3 times it's crucial to the story. This is the 4th time. Chill. Alright, just chill. "So you'd like me to give it a go?" "What? No. Give what a go, exactly?" "Nothing, sir, nothing," Geoffrey quickly retorted. "You're a peculiar man, Geoffrey. A very peculiar man." "I'm really not. My mum had me tested." "I'd like to see those results." The king looked Geoffrey up and down warily. Because we're making, jokes about the mentally ill, or I don't know. Humor, right? We're laughing. He shook his head and continued. "Nonetheless, I'm at a loss for what more I can do. My bones grow weary with the constant up and down, up and down." Geoffrey's eyes widened. "How often are you praying?" "Daily! Sometimes as many as 3 or 4 times." They're talking about sex. "You pray 3 or 4 times a day?" Geoffrey stared in disbelief. Yes, we pray. Why do you keep saying it that way?" "Sir," Geoffrey spoke hesitantly, "what exactly do you mean when you say pray?" I'm going to call it right now. They're actually praying and not having sex, and that's why they don't have a baby. Because that's how unintelligent this king is. Because fuck this story. The king cocked his head to one side. "I'm not aware the word has multiple meanings, Geoffrey. Are you being peculiar again?" "No, I don't believe so," said Geoffrey, though somewhat unsure. "Could you possibly show me how you pray? Maybe it's simply your form that's lacking." "Well, it's a rather private exercise. I generally only pray with my wife." He gave the suggestion serious consideration. "However, it is Wednesday. I always thought it to be the silliest day of the week, what with the name, Wednesday. I suppose I could make an exception, just this once." The king moved toward the bed and began unbelting his trousers. Wait. Perhaps it isn't your form, after all." "You haven't even seen my form yet." "Frankly, I'm starting to reconsider whether or not I want to," Geoffrey sighed. "Could we possibly discuss a raise after this?" "Sure, if you think it's appropriate. After all, you are my royal advisor, and this does fall somewhat outside the scope of your normal duties." "Somewhat?" Geoffrey shrieked. "I would rather think that even seeing your Willie should be outside the scope of my normal duties." He hung his head. "Not to say that it actually is. But this?" "I've already told you, the rash hasn't returned yet. Why on earth would you be looking at my Willie?" "With all due respect, your highness, I think I might be rather confused. Why exactly are you removing your pants?" "I've spent so much time kneeling lately, the pooled fabric gives my knees a bit of a cushion on the stone floor. What did you expect?" "So when you say you've been praying 3 or 4 times a day," Geoffrey trailed off, desperately hoping for clarification. "My wife and I kneel side by side and beg the mighty stork god to bring us a child. I was very clear in telling you this from the beginning." "Called it."